What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another very important AMC update to bring all of you this evening. So what's up, Ankle Gang? We have a lot of really important things that we have to cover in this update. Now, even though AMC fell 2.56% today, this was an absolutely awesome day, and everything is kind of suggesting that AMC over the next couple of weeks could be primed for a pretty significant move to the upside. So we're going to be going over some of the Ortex short interest and utilization data for both AMC and GME right now, because GME's cost to borrow is skyrocketing right now, and AMC's is probably not too far behind in seeing a similar increase to that as well. We're going to be going over the options chain, what has been going on with the max pain as well, and the likelihood of us falling to that level tomorrow to close off the week, and some very specific technical indicators that are telling us that what AMC did today was absolutely awesome. So before we get into all of that information, if you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provide for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And again, guys, you've seen the amount of success that people are having with the 1348 trading strategy and the alert system that we have provided for you guys. If you do want to get access to that, we are kind of alerting you on these 5 given stocks. I believe right now it's Micron, Apple, Tesla, and I think Nvidia as well, and Uber is in there for free. So make sure you guys check out that link down below to the Discord to kind of get something of a free trial. So when we're looking at AMC today, we closed the day at $20.23. The volume, 67 million, a little bit less than we saw yesterday. We saw an absolutely crazy day yesterday. We were down about 2.5% today. But after the last 2 days of really, really bullish momentum, well, we were kind of in for a little pullback that was to be expected to kind of let the stock cool off a little bit. But what we actually saw today was kind of even better than we could have really actually expected. So when we take a look at the 4-hour chart on AMC with 1348, which if you guys have been kind of watching any of these videos for over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about this 4-hour 1348 crossover and this cross up above that 200 exponential moving average. The first closing confirmation candle that we got above the 200 EMA was when we saw AMC a couple of days ago go from 1820 in the after hours all the way up to about 2050. That was really, really solid. Then we saw the stock come down and basically test this 13 EMA on the 4-hour before it rallied back up into that $22 range. Then we kind of consolidated a little bit, and on this candle right here is where people started to get a little bit nervous. We saw AMC selling down into that $18 range, and a lot of people were getting a little bit discouraged and kind of stressed out about the price action that we were seeing. But what we saw is a bounce right off that 13 exponential moving average, which really signifies to us that the trend is in our favor. 1348 is kind of a momentum indicator, and what the momentum is telling us right now is up, which is an absolutely awesome thing to see. Now, we also have to kind of come over here and talk about some of the Ortex data as well. So let me just give this a quick refresh so we have the most up-to-date data over here. So we still have that quote-unquote 100% utilization, but I really like to look at this shares on loan number over here to kind of give us a more accurate understanding of kind of how many shares are out there and what the utilization could potentially be. So the shares on loan did go up from yesterday. We are now sitting at 134.09 million shares on loan, 21.28% estimated short interest, 2.68% average cost to borrow, which has kind of stayed relatively flat over the last couple of days. It's trended up a little bit, but nothing too crazy. But the max cost to borrow, 5.1%. So we're starting to see some AMC shares that are going out on loan having a higher price tag in what these institutions need to pay, with the shares on loan going up, short interest kind of going up as well, and cost to borrow going up. That is an awesome thing to see, specifically as it relates to AMC. Now, when we talk about GameStop too, again, guys, I want you guys to all understand that these stocks are going to move together. We've seen it every single time in the past. Last January, in January of 2021, GameStop started the move. It had a massive rally up. We saw AMC follow behind it. Now, in last June, we saw AMC start the move with their gamma squeeze and what we were seeing on their short interest utilization and cost to borrow. AMC skyrocketed and GME followed. Now, when we're coming over to GameStop over here, what we're seeing is pretty crazy. We're seeing almost 25% estimated short interest, 27.2% average cost to borrow with a maximum cost to borrow of 47.36%. And the thing about cost to borrow that I want you guys to all understand is that most of the time it's a variable rate, meaning that when these institutions take out in a short position, let's say they did it a month ago at those lower cost to borrows, let's say 2, 3, 4%. Now, if the average or the maximum is 27 or 47%, they now have to pay those cost to borrows. This is putting a lot of pressure on these short institutions. And as we've talked about before, when we come over to the chart, specifically as it relates to AMC, we saw a massive sell-off, then it bounces, sell-off, bounce. We cannot see it, or not that we cannot see it, but we have not seen the prices go down to that next threshold level of around $10 a share. We saw them take out a lot of shares around 20, load it up right as we broke 20. We saw a very significant sell-off to the downside right here. Then we also are kind of seeing these bounces again, like I was saying. But when you start to see the stocks starting to show a lot of signs of strength, well, the cost to borrow is going up. So there's really not that much of an incentive anymore for these institutions to be kind of wildly over leveraged on these short positions. Now, let's talk about the option chain for AMC and kind of go over what we need to see tomorrow and maybe the next couple of weeks in order to kind of trigger a gamma squeeze like event. So when we come over to Stonko Tracker right here, let me just give this a quick refresh because these numbers should be a little bit lower here. Yeah, so we have 83,000 calls in the money, 134,000 calls out of the money, and 8,796 puts in the money. So with the little sell-off today, we saw some calls fall out of the money and some puts run back in the money. So there's a little bit of unhedging and hedging going on today, with hedging some of those puts by shorting and hedging some of the, or unhedging some of those calls by selling off some of those shares that the market makers may not have necessarily needed. But again, it is more weighted, heavily weighted towards the call side in terms of any sort of hedging that would most likely occur. Now, in addition to this, when we take a look at the actual options chain for AMC and kind of go over exactly what we're looking at going into the end of this week, even today, remember yesterday, there was 120,000 in volume on that $20 strike. Today, there was 65,000. You're starting to see the option chain start to populate over here. And if we start to see a little bit of a bullish day tomorrow, and if we can even hold above 20 is a pretty key level right here with these 15,000 contracts. Now, it's not the end-all be-all because 15,000 contracts, if they were to hedge all of them, it's only about 1.5 million shares. But the fact that there's so many of these other contracts in the money and they may or may not have hedged these contracts yet because they fell out of the money today, ran back in the money throughout the end of the day, well, this creates a little bit of a dilemma for these market makers where they kind of have to look and say, well, since we're so far above the max pain price right now, which we are going to look at, do we hedge these right now? Or do we try to offset that directional risk of the stock moving up even higher by trying to sell some offsetting puts? That's a question that they need to answer, but the volume on this options chain is absolutely crazy. The action on the options chain is completely and 100% back on AMC. Now, some people were bringing up this concept of max pain today for AMC as well. Right now, it's sitting at 18. So it was at 1650, 15 this week. Now it's jumped back up to 18. So what essentially we look at for max pain is I like to view it as a range. If you're kind of within that little 5-ish% range up or down of max pain, yeah, you're probably going to finish slightly below or right at max pain. But when you break significantly above max pain, remember, it's very similar to what we were talking about before, where the market makers have to make a decision on whether they want to sell some of those offsetting put contracts, or in order to hedge, they go out on the open market and buy shares, feeding that positive feedback loop, pushing the prices of these stocks even higher. So I don't think it's necessarily likely that we close at or below 18 tomorrow unless something wild happens in the overall market, but you never know. It's always a possibility. I don't want to give you guys any kind of certain expectations going into tomorrow. But again, with the strength that we saw today with those bounces off that 4-hour 13 EMA, that is a really, really, really strong thing to look at going forward. So that is going to wrap up this update on AMC. If you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. So I hope you guys are having a great evening, and I'll see you guys in the next one.